Dr. David Brown discussed metadata in the context of making students aware of what is on the internet about them. This subject was definitely a muddy point for me. First, metadata was a new word for me. The definition was simple enough, with metadata being described as data about data. Dr. Brown further described metadata as the invisible data that travels with whatever you submit on the internet. Invisible data definitely needs more explanation. For example, when you submit a Word document to Blackboard, invisible data travels with it. The muddy information here is, what is the invisible data? Then I started thinking about the data that I've submitted on the internet and wondered where that data has traveled. Then there's the issue of security breaches of data. So security of transmitted data becomes another muddy issue. The discussion of metadata is confusing due to the many unanswered questions I have about the subject. It's a subject that I deal with every day, but I'm not really aware of it. In the field, metadata is probably muddy because there is an overwhelming amount of information to read before a person has an understanding of the concept of metadata. Then, as a teacher, I have a responsibility to educate my students about being responsible digital citizens and being wise about putting personal information online. The topic remains muddy because in an online environment, I cannot ask questions and get answers immediately. In my interview with Dr. Ann Marchant of Shenandoah University, she discussed online testing and the problems associated with testing students in an online environment. She mentioned remote proctoring, but said that it was not very effective. She also said that it was very expensive for a university to monitor online testing. With that small amount of information, I was unsure of how I would handle testing if I were teaching online. In math classes, there are correct and incorrect answers. It seems that it would be easy to hire someone to take a test for you. How do you prevent cheating? The hybrid class that I teach at the community college is designed in such a way that the online homework and quizzes account for 20% of the student's grade. Attendance accounts for 5% of the final grade, and I personally grade the other 75%. For this type of design, if the student cheats, they can only cheat on 20% of their final grade. If they do cheat on the homework and quizzes, their lack of knowledge of the subject will show up on the test and the final exam. The muddy point arises when you might not have a software system for homework, quizzes, and tests. You might not have a proctored testing center for students to take tests. Then what do you do? With online classes, it is important to have a testing system in place to guard the integrity of your school. If the integrity of the testing is not guarded, then the school gets a poor reputation. Employers will not want to hire your graduates. Honest students will not want to take the courses and be associated with the poor reputation. The spiral downward may not be recoverable. All the questions are floating around in my head without answers. So muddy points happen when new information initiates questions that you do not have answers for. It can also happen when you are so confused about the new concept that you cannot even develop questions about the topic. How many times have we heard students say, "I don't get anything"? Muddy points happen in the field probably because there's too much information or the information is confusing. In an online environment, muddy points leave students without immediate answers to their questions. Students are left to search out answers via emailing their professors or researching the questions for themselves, which are two issues that need to be considered when teaching in an online environment. Thank you for your time.